Hello everybody, Nature Man here, back again with another lesson. So, yesterday we talked about snow, right? And we talked about winter. Now, I left some things out, so I want to do another one depicting trees and how they play a role in the wintertime, and also fur on certain animals. Brumation is one of the terminology terms we're going to be using, and also hibernation. A few things. Let's get started. So, brumation is the process of which reptiles in particular, also maybe one or two amphibians, but this pertains to reptiles, when they slow down their biological processes, or as it's properly called, homeostasis. And for those of you who don't know what that is, I'll go ahead and explain it to you. It's basically maintaining internal bodily conditions, and what that means is basically all of your organs and their functions daily, etc., etc. And what happens is, during this process called brumation, brumation, and crocodiles, for example, also alligators and caimans, and there's one other animal, I think it's a toad of some sort, practice this, or sorry, they do this. And I'm going to talk about the differences in just a minute. So they do this for about 3 to 4 weeks, and during this time, typically what you're going to notice is their snout is going to be pointed upwards. When you see this, when you see crocodiles and caimans and alligators do this, they're going to point their snout up on the top of the water, and they're going to break the surface tension. And their snout is going to be like this. And they're going to poke it through, and when the ice freezes, their whole body freezes as well. They're not sleeping, because this is brumation, not hibernation. Hibernation is when animals go to sleep, such as bears. Also, deers can be doing this, but most deers are usually up and active. And a list of other animals, but bears in particular is a really good example of hibernation. Fur. Animals that have really thick fur are bisons, grizzly bears, squirrels, deers, Arctic foxes, Arctic hares, snowshoe hares, owls, and a list of other animals. I just wanted to give you guys just a few examples to get the ball rolling. Now, I'm going to mention this because I think it's interesting. I think you guys will find this interesting too. Dendrophiles. Let me say that again. Dendrophiles. A dendrophile is somebody that loves trees, or people that are basically enthusiastically excited about trees. And I'm one of them. Well, Nature Man, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? Let me explain. Look behind me. So, you see these trees, right? Now, you look up. What do you see? Well, from the looks of it, it's bare. Why is that? Because typically around this time, and it doesn't matter if it's in a taiga, which is also a type of forest, temperate deciduous forest in particular, this is what you're going to see. Now, this lasts, particularly when they stay bare, for about, I would say, 4.5 months to 5. But it depends where you are. See, how out here in Maryland, from what I've been observing, this only happens for 3 months. And starts in December, January, February. And throughout this time, these trees, they're bare. And you see probably just a little bit of leaves, or just a few. And they're typically skinny, as you see here. They're skinny, not very broad, malnourished because there's no sun. Sometimes the sun will come out, so the trees will get their nutrition. And also I'm going to mention certain animals, also known as arboreals, which again, as I mentioned in previous videos, but I'll go ahead and do it again for those newcomers who are new to my stuff. Arboreals are animals that live up in trees. Now, during this time, as you can see, there's nothing to cover the animals when they're sleeping, and when it's really, really brisk winds, frigid cold, bone-chilling temperatures. I'd say about 29 degrees and below, almost freezing temperatures. There's nothing to cover them when they're sleeping or when they're laying on branches, such as these. They're very, very, small. But the bark of the trees, from what I've been noticing, they sort of get soft because of all the water and stuff. As I forgot to mention yesterday during one of the videos about winter. And it's so thick that when the water tries to go through the bark, you can see it, on the outside, but on the inside, it's very, very dry. Now, it depends on the tree. Some are thicker, outer bark-wise, and some are not. Now, during hibernation, again, animals typically go to sleep. Now, it depends on the animal. I don't know about all, but it depends on the animal. Some don't stay asleep for 3 months. Some stay asleep for 6 months. Some stay asleep for probably up to 5 months. But I just know, personally, 3 months in Maryland is the winter time. It may be different other places, but that's basically what it is. And it's typically always in the 40s out here or below. I wouldn't say 50s, but it has been recorded 50s up to mid 50s, close, very close to 60 degrees in the wintertime, but typically you're not going to see that. Now, back to brumation, because I forgot some things, so I apologize. Just to clean that up. I said about the bodily functions, oh, that's right, food. So, food-wise, these animals will eat a lot of food during the summertime and fatten up, as they say, as they call it, fattening up. And they sleep it off. So they're very inactive. They're getting themselves back to being active when the spring comes. That's when certain animals wake up. And that's why when you first see an animal, National Geographic or wherever you are located, when you see them, they're a bit wobbly. Or they kind of look kind of funny when they're walking because they're just waking up after being asleep for so long. The bodily functions has to begin to wake up again. The ice thaws out, and then the homeostasis, as I was talking about before, starts to kick back up again because they're no longer in brumation. Now that's the difference. If they're brumating, they aren't sleeping. They're just resting for about, 3 to 4 weeks. Again, depending on the animal, but this pertains to reptiles, mainly. Also, hibernating, again, for those of you that missed it the first time, I do apologize. It means that the animals are sleeping, okay? And I'm not sure how many, but it is a long list. Bears in particular, I do know by heart. And as I said, you can go ahead and look this up. Sources-wise, I really, really wanted to talk about that because a lot of information people ask, where do you get it from? How do you know so much? Okay, one of the sources is National Geographic. Also, I'm going to say Discovery Channel. I'm going to say Netflix has some really good science documentaries. Really good. Blue Planet. Let's see. And YouTube as well has some really good documentaries. SciShow is one of them. And I would say Google. But Google is mainly good for definitions. Mainly for definitions. Not really like overviews and stuff like that. I would say for classifications, classifications, families, phylums, definitions. So just a list of things, and also books as well. The ones that I had mentioned previously, and I think it was one video or two, the pictures that I had posted on my Instagram, of where I get that information as well. Just in case, anybody's curious or wonders, how in the hell do you know this stuff? That's basically why. And also people such as yourselves that know more than I do. Say, hey man, did you know that, such and such is, X, Y, and Z. But anyway, I just really, really wanted to talk about that today before I forgot. But yeah, so, as always, Nature Man is out, and stay tuned for more information.